Okay, so this is the other part of that two-parter about Michael Clay Thompson, Language Arts, Level 5, the Magic Lens Level, Level 1. Let's go. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shanna. If you are new here, we're a homeschooling family of 4. We are halfway through our 9th year of homeschooling, and I have a 4th grader and an 8th grader. Today's video is it's one of 2 parts exploring Michael Clay Thompson, Language Arts Level 5, the Magic Lens Level 1. Before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. So we have used 6 levels of Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts. So I'm not trying to say that I'm an expert, but I do feel like I have some experience under my belt. If you would like to know anything else about any of the other levels, I do have a playlist that will be linked up in the corner, as well as if you want to discuss some of the aspects that I'm not going to get to in this video about this level, I will have a video up in the corner, kind of more of like a surface overview of level 5. So things like more in-depth explanation of how we're using it and our timing, even though I will put that graphic into this video at least twice. Cost, how to order, where to order, all of that isn't this video. This video is a little bit of a deeper dive into the writing, into the literature, and into the poetics of the Michael Clay Thompson Level 5 Language Arts program. So, few things that I do want to point out to you is that I strongly believe in this program, and that is because I feel like it does foster a love of the written word. My 8th grader enjoys writing her research papers for this program. She does view herself as a good writer, and I feel like there's a lot that goes into that. Part of that is my belief in delayed formal writing instruction, which I do have a video coming up on later this month, really outlining that, because while I have talked about it several times, I've never really laid it out in one place, why I feel that way, how I feel, and all of that. So if you would like more information on that, it is upcoming. If you need more information on absolutely anything else, down in the comments, or feel free to watch all of the videos on that playlist. Like I said, I've used 6 levels, so Poodle, Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, Level 4, Level 5, and that means that, again, there's only 2 levels we haven't touched yet, but we'll get to them. So without any further ado, let's jump over and we're going to look at the books. Okay, so my original voiceover got lost, and here is my editing Shanna voiceover. So this is advanced academic writing, and as you can see, the introduction is the bulk of this book. You are reading about writing for almost the entirety of this book, and then it is followed up by 4 advanced writing assignments. The way that I did this in our homeschool year, and I'm going to talk a lot more later in this video about how we use these things. The way that I did it is I said, okay, there are 4 papers, and then there is a whole heck of a lot of reading about writing. And so I took the entire full year of like 30 weeks or so and divided it into 5 sections. And that's how I did that. Now, I did just mention that her first paper, Single Source, she actually chose to write about A Christmas Carol, and how, since it was something she had to read anyway, and how Charles Dickens does a great job of helping you maintain your place in time and space despite traveling in time and space. So it was a great read. I was very entertained by it. Now, as you can see, there's not really chapters and there's not really lessons. However, you can see that there are kind of, I don't know, we would read enough every day. So we read exclusively those first 6 weeks. And we just found natural places to stop every day and then moved on to the next day, trying to make sure that we were getting enough in, definitely not doing too little so that we could wrap it up. And that is how we did that. And that's how much is just reading about writing. It's so much. And her book looks like my book, and they are the same. Mine has a little bit of those little blue kind of flagged out extra additional information. I do very much like the concept of writing taught by Michael Clay Thompson, stresses the love of the word. It's so not formulaic, but simultaneously is incredibly accurate as far as scientific MLA standards. I don't really know how to explain it, but he doesn't say, a paragraph must be 5 sentences. It can be 1 sentence if it says what it needs to say. And I think that is very important to stress and share with our learners and our writers. It makes me very happy that my kid is provided an opportunity to love the word and to love writing and to be free and creative within that kind of MLA scaffolding, if that makes sense. But she's enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed it. And it is something that I definitely prize and treasure and value in our homeschool. Now, let's move on to poetry. Now, poetry is something that we start the second semester of our school year. There are not very many chapters in it or lessons, and we just do one a week. And then if there's an assignment or something like that, a poetry lab or writing or any of that, that will be done that same week. So we'll spend a day or two reading and then do that in the week. And it's that simple. My kids enjoy it and like poetry. They can, identify spondees and trochees, and they like poetry. My daughter appreciates that this is where the female authors really shine in the Michael Clay Thompson program, because a heavy amount of the poetics is based on Emily Dickinson and other female writers. And she's a little bitter that the literature does not have female representation. So that is important to her. I like the way that poetry is presented. I like that they focus on the sounds of words and the beauty of words. But I also like the way that this program as a whole will incorporate things like that into your writing, into your advanced academic writing. I mean, they talk about how to end on a powerful note for a sentence and understanding the importance of revisions so that you can make your words sound like you want them to sound. So it is a standalone essentially, but it's woven together very well with the rest of the program, which if you want to learn more about the grammar or the vocabulary, that's another video that came out right before this one. And I will still talk about how we use the entire program as a whole a little later in this video. So we have found great success for both of my daughters, who are incredibly different learners, with the Michael Clay Thompson program. Now, this is 2 of the 3 literature readers. There's a small, medium, and a large. The one that is missing, I believe, is the Time Machine. But I wasn't going to go find it because she's in some stage of reading it. And so it is somewhere she is carrying it around. And I don't know where that is, to be absolutely honest with you. There's an instructor manual that comes with these books, and I've never once cracked it open. I honestly don't even know what it looks like. We do have many versions of these books in our home. So I do purchase books I already own, but that is because I like what they do. They define the words at the bottom of the page. They will do this little square kind of blowout of an interesting sentence or topic or character analysis. I like that it presents classic literature with very many of the same analytical tools that are present throughout the rest of the curriculum. I like that continuity. And so that is why I buy books I already own. And let's not kid, these covers aren't the most interesting covers if we were judging books by their covers, but they are what they are. And again, I definitely value purchasing the ones that come along with the homeschool package because I think it is important to keep some of that in line. And I like that it's defined on the page. And when I read these, I will then find myself, if I'm reading something a bit more complicated, if I come across a word I don't know or understand, I find myself even looking to the bottom of the page for words to be defined. And I really think every book should do it. It is brilliant. So this is, like I said, about half of the program. The other half is reviewed in my other video. When you order these books, it is so many books. There's like 15 books that come to your home, as well as a little insight into how you can use them, which again, I don't follow. So let's, without any further ado, jump over and I will tell you how I use the Michael Clay Thompson program in our home. This little use snippet I'm going to put in both halves of my 2-part series for Michael Clay Thompson Level 5 because I think it can be really helpful. I do have other videos and a full Michael Clay Thompson playlist that I am sure have been linked up in the corner already. But as you will see from this graphic, I have laid out where we start. And we start with the Magic Lens Level 1, the Word Within the Word, and Advanced Academic Writing all at the beginning of the year. I also have my use plan overlaid on the screen. After we finish the Magic Lens Level 1, we will move into one practice sentence a day. And in the second semester, so starting in January, we will begin poetry and humanities. We also will read the 3 literature selections at the bottom of the page at leisure. Now, some people didn't find that this was helpful enough, so I broke it down even further. Michael Clay Thompson Level 5 Youth Plan. Okay, so this is how I have found success with the program. They do offer you a guide when you purchase the full homeschool package. However, I didn't care for their schedule and it doesn't work for us. And so I just want to use this not to tell you how you should use it, but to tell you that if you invest a little energy in adapting it, you can find great success. I break it up into chapters, but it's not always chapters. It's kind of like a lesson or a part. And I do try to explain that more with the graphic on the left, explanation on the right. Okay, so for the Magic Lens Level 1, which is the grammar portion, which my children are incredibly familiar with, this is kind of recapping and also a little bit of a more deep dive into aspects of grammar. For example, in Magic Lens Level 1, she got into verbisections, I think it was 9-part verbisections, which is not something we've ever done before. The book has 4 parts, okay? So the parts are described in just a moment, but the first 10 vocabulary lists from the vocabulary portion, the word within the word, align to this book, okay? Here is how we used it. We would read aloud, she would do the activities alone, and we would discuss anything at the end of the week if we needed to go over the activities and check and make sure she got them right, if she had any questions. Part 1, I did each part of speech 1 week. So that aligned with the first 8 vocabulary lists for the first 8 weeks. Part 1, practice sentences, finished the following week. So at the end of the week, I was just great, do these practice sentences and we'll look over them the following week while we were reading Part 2. Part 2, parts of sentence in 1 week. We read it over 4 days. And then the Part 2 practice sentences, she finished the following week. Part 3 is phrases, and we read this in 1 week with the day breaks by the types of phrases. And this Part 3 aligns with vocabularies weeks 9 and 10. And then again, she'd do the Part 3 practice sentences the following week. Part 4 is clauses. We read it in 1 week. And then after this, I did not have her do the clauses in this book. I went ahead and just moved her into the next book, which, as you can see on this page, is grammar practice. So for practice 1, and it is I don't stress over completion. I don't stress that we do all 100 of the included sentences. We do not start this until we are 13 weeks into our school year. And she just does 1 4-level sentence analysis per day for the 4 days of our school week. That is it. Okay. And that is after we finish Magic Lens Level 1. Now, moving into vocabulary STEM words. Okay. So the vocabulary, the word within the word 1. Again, there are 30 lists and I plan my school week for about 34 weeks. We are doing 1 list per week. It is a lot of words. We do not do every activity. We just do what we find valuable. And this is how we do this. On Monday, we will read the list. We will read the STEM close-up. And we will read the sentences, okay? She has a word journal that she writes the stems in. On Tuesday, we read all the historical info in the chapter. So every single notation under a picture, every timeline, everything. We read everything historical in the chapter on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we will read the analogies, mystery questions, notes, classic words, and we'll read them aloud and she'll take an opportunity to answer and then we'll discuss. On Thursday, she studies and she practices. We've found all of these flashcard lists on Quizlet. Somebody's already made them. It's already there for you. So it's an amazing app she can use on her phone or on her tablet. It's really handy and it's already made. On Friday, she will do the list test, and the tests are cumulative. So it is quite a meaty bit of it. Now, we do a 4-day school week, but she has chosen to not try to cram the test into her school week, and she will do it the last day of the week, and that's fine. And that makes her happy, and that brings her joy, and I don't care. So there you go. Now, writing, Advanced Academic Writing 1. Again, we start this at the beginning of the year. The book has 5 parts. I decided based on our school schedule that I like to keep that each part would get 6 weeks because that suits our schedule. So part 1, we just read. We read every day stopping where it made sense to stop for the day. If there was like, if it was like 3 or 4 pages, that made sense. If it was like 5 or 6, then that made sense. It's fine. We just kind of broke it up as we saw fit over the course of 6 weeks, getting that entire part 1 read, and we were done about late September. Part 2 is her first paper, and the first paper was the student writes the first paper, and it is a single source. And I decided that I wanted this due by November because, again, I had divided it up into what we were already doing and what already worked for our schedule. So part 2 was the student wrote a single source paper, and that was due by November. Part 3 was the second paper, which is a multiple works cited paper. And I had that due in January. I was thinking by the end of the year, but we had an early vacation. And so it just made more sense to do that. So due in January. Part 3 was the third paper, a revolutionary character, due by spring break. And then part 4, the last paper, an abstract concept, due by the end of the year. And that is how we broke up our writing portions. Now, poetry. Poetry is kind of standalone. And so what I did is I looked at how many chapters it had, how many parts, whatever. And we put that at the start of the second semester. So the start of our spring semester. It has 7 chapters, 1 chapter per week, and then finishing with an assessment for an 8th week. Start in the second semester and then just read the chapter aloud together over 2 days. And then the student completes any poetry lab or activity alone by the end of the week. That's it. It's very simple. Literature. So every level has 3 books, like a small, medium, large. I don't remember how many chapters there are. And I don't give them a timetable for completing this other than like be done by the end of the year. I let them, if they choose, we can read it aloud or they can read it on their own. My students have very different preferences on this. And if they stick to about a chapter a week, then they do pretty well. They stay on pretty well on track. I've never once used the instructor guide for this. What I do is I will read it over summer once we get the book packages in and do that before giving it to my learner. And then I can discuss with them as they go. Even if it's something I've read, it's just sort of like a refresher. Now, like I point out, we own these books, but I like these versions specifically and they make me happy. So this is how we use this. This will be the most in-depth that I will go into any of this because I'm not going to go create like a spreadsheet or something like that when it's not something I use for myself and we're most of the way through the year. So this is how we use it. And that's it. I'm not telling you how you should or shouldn't use it. I just want you to know that it is adaptable, that it is flexible, and that it is easy to use. Guys, I hope that you found any of this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit that big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. If you need any more information at all, reach out and I will be happy to answer as I am able. Again, I do love this program. I love everything about it, and I wish it got more love from the secular homeschool community. But just like with everything else, what I find, what I come across, I come here and I share to hopefully give you a little bit of guidance. And yeah, I hope this may have answered any questions that you have. If it's not this video, it'll be the one right before, right after this one, the second of this 2-parter. All right, guys, bye.